Welcome back. And now we're joined by Zach Witkoff, the CEO and co-founder of World Liberty Financial. Zach, welcome on Crypto Weekly. I want to kick off today really with talking about World Liberty Financial, and then I want to talk about the token as well. But in particular, if we start about WLFI, obviously when I look for a benefit of our audience, you guys mentioned that you're here to upgrade finance to the next era, obviously with stablecoins, with making capital more accessible, and also bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. For a benefit of our audience, what makes World Liberty Financial different from the other crypto teams that are trying to bridge this gap between Web 2 and Web 3?
Yeah, first of all, thanks so much for having me. Really good to be with you this morning. I think what makes us different is a few things, but first off, we have a very diverse team of co-founders. That includes myself, Eric Trump, Don Trump Jr., and Barron Trump. Who come from this, what I'll call a traditional TradFi background, as well as Chase Hero and Zach Folkman, and, a bunch of our core team that come from this, very native crypto background. There's a combined 5 decades of crypto experience on the team and, a combined 5 decades of TradFi experience on the team. And I think we've all seen a lot of problems in both the TradFi and the crypto space. And our mission at World Liberty is to, come up with the problems and to then come up with the solutions. The genesis of the business, was really started after I was having conversations with Don and Eric, and they were telling me that they had been debanked by the 2 largest banking institutions in the United States, which, it was a huge problem in this country. And we began to think about the solutions, and the solutions revolved around a democratized financial system, the nucleus of that being a stablecoin. So we're really excited to, put the hands back in the power of the people.
So let me focus on that, on stablecoin you mentioned with USD1. Obviously, there's a lot of Tether plays a big role in the market, Circle, and you're obviously a new entrant, but obviously one that has been growing quite fast. What's the niche market or the role you see USD1 play in the broader stablecoin ecosystem?
Well, I just want to say, I don't think that we're going to be a niche player. I think that we're going to, we're already challenging the big boys. And I think that, we're going to be on par with them very, very soon. One of our main focuses is institutions. I think you saw that through the MGX Binance transaction. We settled the world's largest transaction using cryptocurrency, $2 billion in, just under 2 seconds with no transaction fee. I think that there's a big future for World Liberty in the institutional market, and I also think we have a big future in the RWA space. When it comes to real world asset tokenization, I don't think anyone is in a better place to do it than World Liberty. And of course, we'll be using our stablecoin as a base pair when thinking about, tokenizing the Trump real estate portfolio or precious metals and, et cetera.
And you think World Liberty is, like you mentioned, is in a unique position to take advantage of the RWA boom. Why in particular? Is it, you mentioned the Trump portfolio, is it for that reason, or what makes it unique in the RWA?
I mean, listen, the Trump portfolio, I think, is low-hanging fruit, but I sort of mentioned it earlier on this call. We have a very deep, TradFi team here. Myself, I have a deep background in commodities, so that's a particular focus. I focused on commodities a lot in the family office world. So I just think that we think about the space a little bit differently than the other players, not taking anything away from the other guys. Paolo, he's actually a very good friend. Tether been quite successful, but the area they've, really chosen to go after full force is, this pure play retail area. And they do very well at it, and we're going to go after retail too. I just think that we probably think about it a drop differently at World Liberty. We are also Genius compliant, and so I think that makes us very institutional ready.
And to what extent, and I think, Andrew, I hear you from an institutional focus perspective, obviously the digital asset treasury companies have been a big focus these days, and ALTS as well, something you guys have been involved in. Is that an angle where you believe a lot of institutional investors will want to get exposure to WFI, or do you still believe there's a different angle you want to target the institutional investors?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've seen institutional players dive very deep into Alt 5. If you take a look at the filings, the investors that invested in Alt 5, some of them, I believe they've never invested in DATs before, and these are some of the largest institutions in the world. I'm talking about Citadel, Point72, Exodus Point, and Jane Street. So I think that was a really big, sign of support for the project. Some of the, smartest TradFi and crypto firms, on the planet, Soul Ventures being one of them, made very big bets on this platform because, they see the future and, they believe just like us that USD1 is going to be the biggest stablecoin in the world.
And to what extent, you mentioned obviously the fact Eric Trump and members of the Trump family are involved in the project, which obviously gives a lot of visibility and credibility to the project. Obviously, and you mentioned you guys have been very clear on the conflict of interest issues. How are you guys dealing with the appearance of conflicts and making sure to address these concerns, which would obviously be something that a lot of these institutional investors will have?
Yeah, so we're very careful to do everything, not only by the book, but we go above and beyond at World Liberty. We have a very deep compliance team led by our Chief Compliance Officer, Brandy Reynolds, but we go above and beyond to avoid any doubt in that area. I'll also add that Eric and Don don't just lend their names to this project. They are co-founders. They work on this project tirelessly, and they've dedicated their lives to it because they see the massive problems that are out there. They know that, debanking is at the end of the day, this is like a core issue, not only for the United States, but for the world. And, this technology, World Liberty Financial, USD1, it's better than what currently exists. In the market today. So these guys, Eric, Don, Barron, they're dedicating their lives to this project. This isn't something that they're just, slapping their names on.
Well, thank you, Zach. That's all the time we have. And I know you spend a lot of time in the UAE. And next time, I look forward to having you here in our studios at CNBC, here at CNBC Arabia in Dubai. Thank you. That was Zach Witkoff, the CEO of World Liberty Financial. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me. And I'll add that, the UAE, I think, is one of the most forward-thinking countries in the world when it comes to crypto today. And, we think World Liberty Financial has a big future there as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Zach.